Hi, I'm Austin Eartham.
And I'm Tayler.Patten, and welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast.
We're here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing our stories, helping you to get 1% better in all areas of your life. Today we're going to be talking about how to control chaos a little bit better, have more control of the situation, manage it, and to get out of the situation or enhance the situation, depending on what you really want to do. So we'll dig a little deeper into our lives with controlling chaos, give you the definition of control and chaos, and then give you some tips on how to control situations a little bit better based on your strengths and weaknesses. And then, as always, we will have a challenge at the end. Got a great guest coming up on Thursday talking about controlling chaos. One of Taylor's friends, and she'll get into a little bit more of the stuff that we're going to talk about on Thursday with the 1440 episode. So be sure to catch her on Thursday as well.
Absolutely.
We got any news? No news, right?
Not really. Happy Hanukkah.
Oh yeah, today's the last day of Hanukkah. Well, yesterday, last day of Hanukkah.
Yeah. Just want to throw that in there.
Love it. There's so many things around Christmas like to remember. There's Kwanzaa and Christmas and Hanukkah and all this other stuff going on. St. Nick Day.
Just a great month.
Yeah, it is. Let's talk about the challenge since we're kind of going within the month. Challenge last week was to basically, you said there's 32 days left last week, right?
Yes.
To focus on something. What are we getting done in our lives to make the last 32 days count? So how'd you do? What are you focusing on?
Yeah, I'll just repeat in case you missed the episode. So my 3 things was to get affiliate on Twitch, read 2 books, and do cardio between 35 and 45 minutes. First one.
Every day.
What?
Cardio every day, 30, 45 minutes.
No, it'll probably be 3 times a week, maybe 4. Depending. I'm gonna do 3 times a week, and like 4 push-ups.
I'd write that down.
More
specific.
You want me to?
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So first one. I mean, like, we're on our way, and that got like 150 followers. Viewership's like 1 right now, which is actually, like, that sounds bad. That's pretty good. And like the Twitch world is just starting.
There's 1?
Yeah.
You can't go any lower.
Actually,
of course it's good.
Actually, you can't.
You can have yourself.
You can have like 0.4, 0.5.
I know, but just it's like from an outsider listening in it, they don't know what it is, and it's that's pretty good. It's literally 1.
Right. Okay, it's not. I shouldn't say getting affiliates not hard, but it just is consistency. Essentially, is what it is.
Yeah. You gotta put in that time.
Yeah, and being able to like bring value to the chat and other people that are tuning in.
Yeah.
Next, read 2 books, 3/4 the way through 1 book right now, 12 and a half by Gary Vaynerchuk. So well on my way to finish that, and then cardio right now is about 15 minutes, 18.
So you're gonna work your way up to 30, 45.
Yeah, by the end of the year, yeah. And then I'll focus on bulking again. Right now it's kind of like a maintained cut.
Yeah, cool. You always say it's bulking season, and then you just go against it. All right, so mine was to basically like get my body feeling better, right? To be able to get my recovery in the green all the time for the Whoop. Shout out to Whoop. Has been a while since that. And I want to be just feeling good going into what I consider my season. And I also want to focus on finishing up my CrossFit. Just kind of right now, I'm calling it the beginner stage, where I'm just trying to learn all the movements a little better. So I'm working on basically butterfly pull-ups and pistol squats right now. Squatting's always been a bad thing of mine, so I'm trying to get my pistol squats going. So I've been doing those a little bit more, getting the chest back to it just for fun. And then my body last week didn't feel great, so Wednesday I literally took it off. I did like my warm-up, and then I did a quick power yoga and called it good, which was good because I didn't have enough time to do stuff anyways. So far, recovery since then, I've been in the green 3 days in a row. Well, The next day I wasn't in the green, but the day after that I was in the green. I've been in the green ever since. So that was nice to see. So hopefully I can continue that and keep the body growing and be in prime condition, ready for next week or next month. Anyways, let's head to
quote of the week.
Quote of the week. So there's a ton of good quotes about controlling things, not being fearful, how to be a little more, I guess, in control or satisfactory in terms of the outcome. But the quote I chose is by Brian Tracy, and it says, "You cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude towards what happens to you, and in that, you will be mastering change rather than allowing it to master you."
And along with that, not only attitude, you also choose your reaction to that action.
Yeah.
So not only attitude do you choose, you also choose your that next reaction to whatever happened or whatever's happening.
Yeah, and normally, like I've said this plenty of times before in the pod, but your first reaction is usually negative. Like you react to it in that split second, and you think it's bad, and then all of a sudden you start to comprehend a little bit more, think about it, and you're like, oh, I can do this or whatever, you know? So as long as you got to take it in steps, and you got to make yourself believe or have a positive attitude towards it. Hey, I get this done, then I get to go have a bowl of ice cream, whatever it might be, right? Mm-hmm. To be positive and kind of affirm that belief in yourself. So I think that's important to talk about.
Yeah.
Any other things with the quote there? Or the challenge, I guess? Go ahead. I got one more thing if you don't.
Go for it.
I was just going to say that I think the reason that my workouts are better now is because I got the Vitargo going. Right?
Really?
Yeah. Let me tell you. So Vitargo, again, we'll put go to vitargostore.com, we'll link it all. But if you go and you put it under hashtag #Earthum15, Earthum, ERTHUM, you'll get 15% off your order. But it's carbohydrate drinks when you're working out, you don't get tired as much. All natural ingredients, organic, tastes delicious. There's like 8 flavors online, and really just gives you the energy you need to recover or fuel before or fuel during. So maybe that's why I'm in the green, because I've been having that more consistently. It's really been helping me out. But anyways, let's talk about the rest of the ads. You guys get the ads there. Shout out to Cole's Kicking Kids who are listening, and Earthum Healthcare Services, and Taylor's Twitch community. There's one viewer.
I was like, I don't know what you're about to say.
Anyways, we'll take a quick ad break. We'll get back in jiffy. Thank you. Make the $1 bill. Bye-bye. My computer's going to die, by the way. Is your charger in your bag right here?
I just don't know how long mine's going to last, so it should be fine.
You got a long time. Wow. Mine's about 10-12% here.
How much is it? Do you think, I'm just saying, no matter what their levels, do you think the Vitargo is the reason why you're having crazy experience?
No, we'll get to that after the pod.
Okay.
All right, you ready? And we back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, definition. Let's talk about chaos first of all. Chaos. Sorry, that was very good. So chaos. That's what it is. It's like we don't know what's going on. It's like the guy in it's not Tarzan, but it's the Roadrunner dude. He just goes all the time. And the little Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny. What's that guy's name? You don't know it?
I don't know. We went from Tarzan to Bugs Bunny. like that.
I think it's Bugs Bunny. The Roadrunner who just turns his feet and just goes like crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Zoom.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know.
And then something's always happening. He's trying to get hunted, and it's just like chaos all the time. Or if you watch According to Jim, chaos all the time. Any sitcom, chaos.
Yeah.
Literally, there's a problem. Somebody messes up. It's a bigger problem. Then you got to solve it.
I think you're in chaos right now. Like you're all over the place.
Bro, I'm just being real.
Sure.
Oh, stop. We lost it.
What you do?
I can't go out of it, I learned. We even lost a pod. There was so much chaos going on. Taylor, I don't know if you caught it, but Taylor said that I was having chaos right there, and I clicked the button, and all of a sudden it went boom.
It stopped.
Chaos.
So, you got the definition?
You're
gonna say it, or you just
gonna definition of chaos. There's a lot of chaos going on. Sorry. Chaos definition is complete disorder and confusion.
Literally what I'm in right now. A lot of confusion.
You're just delusional.
That too.
All right. And then to control that control that confusion or disorder. Control is to have the power to influence or direct people's behavior or course of the events. And then there's obviously the control of an experiment, but we won't get into that.
Right. I like that definition. I start off in that, like, I feel like everyone's life is literally the title, is controlling chaos.
Yeah, it's just there's two dates that are important: the one you wake, or the one you're born in, the one you die in, and between's most of what really matters. But that's the chaos.
Right.
It's a journey. That's why we call it a journey, because it's always a roller coaster, right?
Yeah. And there's always something new, something else is going on, even in the world, and that you have a broader scope. Like, it's crazy out there. And
cold too.
It's unfortunate. Snowing in Hawaii.
Okay, we talked about this.
That's chaos.
It's snowing at the top of the mountain. That's like it's snowing on the top of Mount Everest. Of course, it's snowing.
You never know. The beaches might be covered in 12 inches of snow.
Jeepers, no.
Yeah,
it might be windy.
It might hit an iceberg soon.
Yeah, Hawaii. You're swimming, you're scuba diving in Hawaii. You hit an iceberg or ice. Yeah, iceberg.
You never know. But yeah, so I guess
Where have you seen chaos this week? How about that?
Every day is chaos. I go to work, chaos.
Okay, so give me an example. Give some value to the viewers.
I got you. Especially like when you are dealing with like children or kids, even other people in like the workplace, and there's always a lot going on. So like the structure of Woodward is there's juvenile delinquents come in, they stay from any sort of amount of time, like it just depends on their own program. But then after that there's staff, and then there's other supervisors and all that. Staff switch in and out, which create chaos in itself, because there's not just one person controlling a situation or controlling a group in that, like a supervisor would. In that, there's 16 different people controlling 20 people. And that, so with that, it's automatically because people have different thoughts, different perspectives, different lifestyles.
So true.
And that.
Cut that and put that on the video. That was good. Good perspective.
So, side note. Well, I just deep dive into it. Okay, the chaos right now is we had a situation on the dorm. Kids were, I don't want to say too much, because I don't know exactly 100% what I could say, but they were kind of doing something like illegal. There we go. I'll just say that. They were doing something illegal that could get them like more charges. Okay. And so like, it was like 5 kids essentially, and we have like 20 kids on the dorm. Yeah. So it's like 1/5, 1/4 of our group, and it's like our leaders of our group. So it means, and then when that's in chaos, or those people are in trouble, or those people are spotlights on them, it kind of like creates a disturbance, like trickling on down like the line, you know, like throughout like the pyramid of leadership. And so there's things that happen. They got caught, so we're addressing it. We have this thing called DCG, Daily Communication Group. Okay. So they basically all sit in a circle, then essentially we just have a conversation. And normally it's like holding people accountable to their actions of what they've done. So usually it's like either between like a fight or them stealing something or anything else. BLTing, borrow, lending, or trading. Keep your own, essentially their places, keep your own stuff, don't give it out. So within that, so these kids were doing this illegal thing and coming into it, it's big resistance, and that how I'm trying to think of like how to say it to provide value to people. Anyway, controlling the group it's hard in itself because there's more of them than it is of you, and that
I feel that way in school all the time.
Yeah, especially for you. There's one for what, 24, 25?
Yeah, I'm like 28, 30. I mean, think about it. Really, kids could take over the school.
Yeah. 100%.
Like if they would recognize that, it's like the dog who thinks that he's on a chain, but he doesn't know that he's not.
Yeah.
Like literally, kids could take over the school.
Yeah, a big revolt. Like,
it usually happens.
Yeah, I mean at Woodward there's been a few riots or that like where just complete chaos happens on the dorm. But essentially that's what we're controlling. Is these kids could essentially just say, F it, we're doing whatever we want, and we're kind of like standing there like, okay, this. But I mean, then there's like on the back end, the controlling part is like they're in a juvenile delinquent facility, so like they have JCOs over their head. They have essentially the law.
Yeah.
If they're not acting straight, their time's extended, and so that's part of the controlling, and then after that, it boils down to how do you control a group and moving forward, and that. So what I mean by that is this group of kids that have done a bad thing, and then the rest of the group's kind of there just giving feedback into like the bad kids. I want to say they're all bad, but so in controlling that, you have to. Well, I'm thinking of a word. Supervise, I guess I would say. Supervise them giving feedback because you want to have a positive. So you want to lead the dorm in a positive direction, just like you would any situation in life. And so in this situation, so these kids are giving the feedback saying like, why did you do it? What happened? Everything, trying to get the story straight. Yeah. And then it's like the breakdown of like, okay, you did bad. This side did better. And so then we break it down. So there's one kid, our negative leader, and that was flipping it back on students and staff. It's staff's fault, this and that. Students' fault, this and that. This kid gave me this or did this. Staff did this, so I did this. And that. So just deflecting into it. And so then controlling that, because that's what starts revolutions between the staff or student, and students just say, F it, why listen to you? Yeah. When we can listen to this one kid. And that. So then it's controlling that one kid.
Heck, that's why religions are started.
Right.
In a way.
Which is also something crazy too, is like how easily people's
especially in today's world.
Minds can just be like controlled.
Yeah.
And that because like they feel like they have no control over their life, so they're just gonna give it up.
Or they look at social media and they see that, oh, I want that type of deal.
Exactly.
Whereas that's not a very credible source, because who's gonna put, oh, my kid sucks at soccer, he did awful in the game on Saturday. Like who's gonna put that on Facebook for their kid? You know what I mean? Like they score one goal a season, they're gonna put, oh, my kid played great, he scored a goal this week.
Right. So going back into it, when we narrow it down to this one kid, like essentially it's just drilling that kid to where the other kids feel like he is. I work on a male dorm, and that, so like it's his fault that they're being affected. And affected, I mean like they have to sit there and be quiet. They can't move around. They can't go do watch a movie. They can't get school done because now we have to sit in a circle and talk about the actions that have rippled effect. So essentially controlling that back on him and saying like, not to get the dorm against him, but to show that he
doesn't give him the power.
Yes. And that's the thing, like that would be like the chaos. Is like it's so easy, especially like in young kids' minds.
Just follow along.
Yeah.
It's funny, so make everybody else laugh more.
Yeah, exactly. And you can see that a lot in like juvenile delinquents. And I'm not saying regular other kids, but in kids that already put in an environment of other negative thinking kids, and that it's a lot easier for kids to fall down that same path, because it's kind of like, show me your 5 friends, I'll show you your future. Yeah. These kids are all in one group together for 6 to 8 months with other delinquents. So it's kind of like changing the mindset and flipping it, saying like you're creating the chaos that's easy to control.
Yeah.
And that 100% of the time, I shouldn't say it, 98% of the time, because sometimes I will give it to them that it is the staff that creates the problem. But 98% of the time, they will create their own problem.
Yeah.
And that just like anyone in their life, the way you react, how you think about things, you will create your own problem.
Yeah, just like if it doesn't affect your life, it's like, for instance, watching TV, whatever we're watching has nothing to do with our life, so we might as well go to bed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get that sleep or whatever it might be. Have a perspective. I think it's important to have a perspective.
Yeah.
If this really affects your life or what the outcome might be in any situation.
Yeah. And I'd say that like, there's many things that happen to you in a day.
No, yeah.
You make a million
decisions.
And
you have so many thoughts too.
Yeah. And you have to direct them, control them, understand them. This is like
even like think about which ones come to life and which ones you just throw away in the back of your head.
Right.
Yeah. I think about my sleeping and for this.
Yeah. And controlling that is like understanding you have these thoughts.
Yeah.
Like bring it, like kind of how you said throw back and like what you said is like when you have like a bad thought or a negative thought, bringing that to attention to the forefront that you have that negative thought or that, I don't want to say chaotic thought, but it's kind of like I don't want to go to work today. And that like I have those thoughts every once in a while, but then it's kind of like if I don't go to work today, then
the consequence.
I'm going to have a consequence. Either I'm going to get like suspended, written up, or fired, which is all creating chaos. Because then like if I
scramble,
if I get suspended, I'm suspended without pay. So then that's whatever day is without pay. If I'm fired, I have to find a new job.
Yeah, I think about that all the time. That's kind of why I don't take risks sometimes, is because of the possible consequences. But at some point, you hit that threshold, and either the chaos blows over and goes wild, or the problem's solved. One of the two always happens. It might linger. I mean, think about so with chaos in my week this week was stock market. Like really just all life. Like it's either kind of goes sideways for a little bit, and then either goes up really fast or goes down really fast, right? And just think about the world with the whatever the variant is, the Okerman variant, and how the stocks I paid attention to a lot this week, and it was really up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think about with chaos is there's so much panic selling, and then the next day it goes back up.
I really just think about this. A lot of our decisions are emotional based.
Yeah. Oh, that's 100%.
I'd say almost every decision.
I was listening to
and you really have to learn
video about that.
You really have to learn how to control it and how to, and I wouldn't say navigate it, but essentially how to take it out.
Yeah.
And that
you got to have how to make athletes always say don't make an emotional based decision right after a game or a practice or whatever, because you're going to choose based on your current emotion, not on maybe thinking it through.
Right. And that's
maybe it's not the right decision.
That could be any situation.
Oh yeah.
And that like if you get fired from a job,
or
you get a promotion and then you go and you party a little too hard.
Yeah. Or you hear these stories of I walked into the place and I walked into my job, I didn't like it, so I quit. And they just like go with their fly by the seat of their pants. That's very rare though. Like that's hard to manipulate in a positive environment.
I heard that in a book. Like if he was on podcasts.
Right.
But anyway, like if it was something that it was like something that like it wasn't like positively affecting his life or like something he like knew in his heart he didn't want to do, and that like was, I wouldn't say against his morals, but kind of like against like his values. There we go. And that he would just quit. Like he would just, I'm done. Like this isn't worth my time.
Yeah. Or my situation is more like walked in, day was hard. He's like, you know what, screw it, I'm done. And he goes finds a different job.
Right.
Like you always see the news like, oh, he had this huge success story because he quit his job and he did this after. You know what I mean? So like that's so rare. But like with the stock market, everybody's just panic selling.
Yeah. And
it's not even worth panicking over. Like if everybody, it's like the prison. What's the quote? It's like a prison term. Like if all the prisoners would revolt at once, they'd win, right? But there's always that one guy who cops out and it ruins it. So the same thing with the stock market. If everybody would quit being scared of the variant, like every time a new disease comes up, is we just gonna crash? We're all gonna have a lockdown. We're gonna shut down. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And I'm not saying like
don't be cautious.
Yeah, but I'm saying that at some point you got to live your life, you know?
Yeah, that's part of.
So everybody, again, emotional decision, and people sell themselves short, and then it goes back up, and then it goes back down. It's just a big roller coaster, and it's just chaotic. Because like I was looking at different tweets and podcasts and videos and stuff and news sources. There's still like nobody knows the market right now, which is just historically that's a bad sign if nobody knows the market, right?
Right.
Because then you get these huge volatile swings, and then it goes one way. You never use guess.
So much speculation.
Exactly. So you don't want your thing about that is your life. You don't want your life to be in speculation, you know?
Right.
So like
and like I would refer like I'd also refer that to like when it's in speculation, like no one knows what's going on, so they're skeptical, so they're again they're panic buying, panic selling, and that's they're really frantic with what they do with their money.
Yeah, it's not the best version of themselves.
Right.
Or what they're trying to become if they're not obviously there. Most people aren't.
100%. And also like that reflects on life too.
Yeah.
If you don't know, if like you don't know where, like if you don't have any direction in your life.
Yeah, literally that's the definition of a lost cause.
Yeah.
Like you're just wandering.
And that's not to say that you're not moving forward, you're not trying to understand where you're like the direction of your life. But if you're lost and you're not actively pursuing,
then that's a lost cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should. There's definitely points in my life where I've been like, what am I doing here? You know, I said that at the start of the podcast this summer. Like where I've had that up and down this fall, and then I feel like now I'm back to like what I'm supposed to be doing type deal. But it's hard to always know what you want to be. Like I went to the King Richard's movie this weekend, and he had this plan for his kids the whole time, Serena and Venus Williams essentially, and just having to work out. That's 1 in a million. He put out all his shoes, all the stops possible to try to make things happen, and it just happened to work out. Now the movie, I'm sure, dictates a little bit more utopian-like than it should be. Yeah. But it was just interesting to see about how planning really makes a difference and how that really helps you to control whatever adversity might come your way.
Yeah.
I think that is important.
Yeah.
Like I think about that.
I mean, you can. Yeah. I mean, you're controlling your entire reaction to everything. You're in control of your life.
Oh, definitely.
Because
that's the strongest thing you're gonna have.
Nothing that happens in your day. You're late to work. There's traffic. As long as because everyone.
If you don't let it affect you, it doesn't matter.
Everyone's moving slow when you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
But if you take that second, or someone cuts you off, and then the way you react to that in that instant automatically changes your day. Either you're gonna get mad and be like, F you, you cut me off, like this and that, or you're just gonna say, hey, maybe he's in a hurry or she to get wherever they gotta go, or they have a baby coming. Kind of like showing perspective, having empathy, and humiliation too. Like having that humility, because in the real perspective of things, like we're just a very small speck on a huge spectrum. Oh yeah. But then in a close-up version, in a micro version, you're huge. Yeah. So you have to definitely play off those two parts. I'm gonna go. So like, I'm gonna go back into Woodward for a second because I think this will provide value. And at Woodward, there's 20 kids on a dorm, and there's 4 staff. And so immediately, right when we wake them up, 20 kids need 20 different things.
It's like teaching.
There. And so at Woodward, we have to spot them for what they do because they're juvenile delinquents essentially, and so they have to be spotted from hygiene, like showering, going to the bathroom, eating. We really watch them at the sleeping. Like we got to supervise them sleeping, and that anything that you could possibly think of, we have to be supervising them. So then when you think about that, kids need to go to the bathroom. Kids need food. Kids need to go down to the nurse. Kids need to talk to their therapist. Kids need to brush their teeth. Kids need to shower. Kids need to make their bed. Kids need to clean after themselves, clean the bed, all that stuff. So now we have 20 different things going on. and 5 staff. And usually we have like one person that's like the leader essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that we call it pointman. And so they're the one that's going to be controlling everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like their job to control the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times, like, you really have to narrow down like what's important at the moment.
And you got to have specific jobs for each person, and then obviously communicate who's doing what in a timely manner.
Yeah. And so you're going to have your 3 or 4 staff around you. So you're like, okay, you're covering this.
Mm-hmm.
That way, like, the point person automatically knows that they can count on their other staff that's going to get taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And
that takes out that chaos, so they can focus in on everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that perspective, you had also, I guess I should go back on track. We're also playing off strengths and weaknesses. So like for me, like I'm not great at investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And so like what I mean by that is like investigating like simple things as in like BLT, like bar lending training. So like they're trading shoes for a coat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone's stealing someone's like headphones. Like that's not like my strength in that. But my strength like comes in is navigating through a group.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can hold a group down by myself. So I know that my weakness is not it, but I know 3 people on my staff team, like, or our staff team,
that can do that.
That can do it.
Yeah.
And that I can count on to get it done. And then report back, or we're going to send DCG while they like essentially hash it out.
Yeah.
But that's also, I can seeing again, like this is like, I'm sorry, we're going also like, you have to understand where the most important things are at that moment. Like you have to really narrow down, like I just said, you have to really narrow down like the 4 most important things and work on those first.
Yes, I think that's important to talk about. So let's start going through some of the things to control chaos a little bit better. So you talked about having that. Obviously, you talked a lot about talking to others, having that communication.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's important in any job, especially the more people you have, the bigger the company. There's like that rule about how much space you're supposed to have before you have how much people in it, before you have a new building, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I think the bigger, the more communication you need.
Yeah.
Right. So they have that. Another thing that I want to hit on quick before we go kind of more in depth on these is you talked about how everybody's in a hurry. Everybody's slow when you're in a hurry. And I'm reading this book right now. It's a New York Times bestseller. And basically it's a psychology guy named Dr. Amos. And he basically talks about when he was like he went to Hebrew college in Jerusalem, and then he transferred to like a U.S. college and had to learn English, taught himself everything basically. And he was saying how life doesn't matter unless you let it affect you. Like if you're late to work and you don't let it affect you, who cares?
Right.
Like he didn't care. If he would do anything and it's like it doesn't affect him. Like he didn't get worried or stressed out.
Or it affects your work.
Yeah. I mean the bridge could be falling off in front of him. Okay, he'll just swim to work. That's not a real story. I'm just making that up. I'm trying to think of some examples from the book that it has. Right. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
No. But that makes sense. Like again, like it says, like control.
You can control, and if he can't control it, either one, he would try to manipulate the person's brain so he could control it, or 2, he didn't care. Literally, he would do whatever he wants. He would chew full on, biting his chicken, whatever he wants. There was some example kind of like that, like in his workplace, or he'd wear the same groggy clothes, or he'd have this coffee breath or something, and he's like, I don't care. It doesn't affect anybody.
Right.
It's not hurting anybody.
Right.
So why do I care?
Exactly. And so so I like that. You can't control anything else that happens around you.
Except you can only control your actions. You can't control others. That's hard to get people's brain wrapped around, even adults, let alone kids. So that's, hey, you can't control their actions, right? So people get mad, like, oh, this person did this and I'm jealous of this. Well, you can't control them. You can only control your life. Did it affect your life? No. So you go live your life. That's what we kind of talked about, you being happy for others in the episodes previous, like way back when, probably in August.
Yeah.
So I think that's important to talk about what you can control.
Yeah.
Not. And
you have to.
Go ahead.
I was like, you just have to be able to pivot, able to adapt.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of like you're saying, like with that book, like if something happens in your day, you just have to be able to like navigate through it.
Yeah, and it's great to plan, like have plan A, B, and C, but you can't plan for everything. There's not enough time right to do that. And plus, that's a lot of stress. So at some point, if crap hits the fan or whatever you want to say, basically, can you run with it, right? Can you pivot? Can you change your direction and just run with it? And when you do that, you have to be confident. Like, especially if you're a leader, like if there's a tornado and you're at work or I'm at school, like that's chaos.
And everything's on you.
Yeah, and because we like do drills and stuff, but in the end, you got to make sure everybody's safe. So you can't control if that one person is hiding in the closet, but you can try to convince them to leave, or you can literally go in there, grab them.
That's it.
And then be confident, be like, I'm saving you, like I am doing this right now, no matter what. Like be confident in your decision and live with it.
Yeah, and that's a great thing of like convincing someone. Because I was also thinking of this, with others, coworkers, students, kids, anything. When you talk to someone and you can have someone buy in to what's going on around you, either at work or in your friend group or in your family, whatever it may be, and that if you have people buying into you, and that it's able to control what's around you because you have people bought in.
Yeah, and you become a leader, and really, even if you fake it until you make it, like that's gonna help you too. You know what I mean? Because you just became more of a leader, and know that the definition of a leader is to get people to believe what you are trying to get as an outcome.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this is bad to say, but I mean it's not bad to say really because it's true. Like Hitler, awful person, right? One of the best leaders in the history of the world. Think about it. He had millions of people to get what he wanted.
Believing in his vision.
Yeah. Millions. Besides Jesus Christ, might be the most in terms of a number. Which he used it for evil, obviously, but it's just amazing. I mean, we're gonna have a whole episode on changing people's minds and stuff like that, but
for sure.
I just think it's important to have that confidence and control you can, and then it's still experience. No matter if it ends good or bad, hopefully you're trying to do good. Let's go back to make sure we're trying to do good, obviously. During the tornado, you're trying to do good. No matter what happens, it's experience that you can share to help others in the future.
100%. Especially like if you don't make the right decision in that moment.
And you learn.
Yeah, you live and you learn. That's like again, like that's what we talk about Woodward a lot. Is like that's a free space to mess up. Like we don't.
Yeah,
like, we don't want
to mess practice. Up. You want to make mistakes. Well,
we don't. Yeah, like we don't want you. Like we want you. Like if you made a mistake, you're
better in there than on the street.
Yeah, you're gonna have accountability. Yeah. But it's gonna be a learning process to where you're not doing this dumb stuff or whatever happening on the real world. Just
like practice versus game.
Yeah, and so it's more like a safe space. Yeah, I want to say. Yeah, and like I'd say off that, you have to prioritize too.
Yes,
and that like.
What's important? What's second important? Third important? You can't have a list either. It can't be 15. Right. So that'd be like top 5.
Yeah, I kind of touched on that. That's the word I want to say is like prioritize like the top 3 things, and that's what's happening first. And everything else on your list doesn't really matter at that moment.
And again, if you mess up one of those 5 things and it happens to go south, like one, how many other people would really get it right if it's a chaotic situation? There's 50% of the population is also going to mess up.
Right.
Which you can take that as, okay, I'm average, I suck, or you can take it as, you know what, that's not that bad. Everybody makes mistakes type of deal. And you can, again, learn from it, and it's good growth for you, right?
That's what I was just saying. Or, you take it as a positive and be like, I was given the opportunity to have this opportunity to make a decision, which maybe I messed up, maybe I got it right. Either way, you're still blessed with the opportunity to have that leadership, to make that decision in whatever it is in your own life. No matter what.
Some people, like I struggle with, okay, I tried my best, but did I do my best? There's a difference, right? And if you don't execute it and you don't do your best, I get pissed. Okay, my body wasn't the best on this day. I tried super hard today, but I could have done other things to make my body the best. So then I get mad, right? But in that situation, if it's chaotic, again, you can't plan for everything. So take realistic expectations for yourself. Did you do the best you could at that moment?
This is,
in hindsight, it's easy to think, oh, I could have done this. I would have done this, right?
Sure.
Well, yeah, but in the moment when your adrenaline's pumping,
this is a little off topic, but I want to ask you this question. I want to hear your thoughts because I have one thought on it. I want to hear your thoughts.
You got like
what
right here.
What is your thought when someone says, "At least I tried"? Let me hear it. Said, "All I can do is try."
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of all you can do is try, because you can put other things to prepare, or you can make your try better. Does that make sense? Now, of course, if you're given 100% effort, and that is like the best you did on that day, that there's something to say for that, right? But if you try and then you kind of know by their voice, like, at least I tried. But yeah, but did you try the whole week or the whole month or the whole season? Not did you try one day. Because if you just try one day, you're going to get one day results. If you try for a whole season, you're going to get season results. If you do it for a career, that's where you start to have like life-changing results type deal, or a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think it depends on the person and the situation. Because truly, if they're crawling on the floor, let's say it's a workout and they're crawling on the floor, and they didn't get the time like that they had to reach or the weight they had to do, whatever, and they are literally suffering, they still tried on that day. Okay, good job on that day, but what did you do last night? What did you do the day before? What did you do last week? Type of deal. So there's always something you can do more or better. Mm-hmm. That's why there's always earlier I said about reaching your best self, and most people aren't there. Yeah. Really, nobody's there.
Right. We're 100% on the same page, because that thing happened. So that came up today in Atwood, where like this one kid, he has a certain issue with essentially putting a wedge between people. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, essentially we confronted it, and then then I asked him back. I made him re-say it to me in a way that he understood mm-hmm. of what I was asking or telling him. And then he said, "All I can do is try," in that form of words. And yeah, so that's why I asked you that, because then I went on a tangent. Like,
it's true. It's true. All you can do is try, but you can.
Yeah.
Again, you can look at it as, oh, God, just try my best, no big deal. Or you can think of it as, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to make my best good enough.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, because like his try was like he's gonna say he tried, where in reality it's just like another day, like he don't care.
Yeah. Which again, you can tell by the way they
right. No. So yeah. So again, like you can go out, and if you never skated, all you can do is try.
Yeah, it's a starting spot, right? Yeah, you're just brainstorming essentially.
Yeah.
Just getting used to it, trying it.
Right.
Anything you try new for the first time.
Exactly.
Skiing, I think, is a great example for my family. Mm-hmm. But then once you get going, et cetera, it should be more about like, okay, what do I need to do to get better?
Exactly. And yeah, so like that's what I was like saying. Like he's had this problem. He's obviously went in the wrong direction. So like all you can do is try. Is like leading you into the wrong direction.
Yeah, because you gotta want to get better at it.
Yeah, so then we gave
practice.
We laid out steps for you to be able to.
Yeah, you gotta hit those checks.
And then all you have is like, all I can do is try, mm-hmm. which is just like, to me, it's just like a pity cop out. Yeah.
And if you don't, you can't want it more than he wants it. Like if he doesn't want to try, then it's so hard. Again, we'll talk about this later in our episode with this, but trying to convince somebody to do something is so difficult, because if they don't want it, you can't do anything.
No.
Right? If I want my fiance to go skiing with me and she doesn't want to ski, I can't change that.
Right.
Luckily, she likes. I don't know. She's okay with skiing.
Yes, but yeah, all you can do is ask, and
yeah, if they don't.
I would say convince, but show points and why it'd be good for them.
If kids sleeping in my class today, everybody else is doing their homework. I said, hey, what are you doing? He said, I'm sleeping. I said, well, what's your grade in this class? He said, a D. I said, well, don't you think if you did your homework, it would help you? And he said, I don't know. I said, well, that D is probably going to go to an F on this test then. And he said, that's okay. And I said, well, then you have to retake the class, And he said, okay. And I said, that's okay with you? He said, yeah, I don't care. Again, there was no way I was going to convince him that he needed to do work today.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't. When he's 18, he's going to think, wow, this is bad, right? So at some point, you're going to learn.
Yeah.
That kid, he's going to go back on the street. Something's going to happen. And sometimes it's fatal in that situation, which is hard. Because how do you get a kid to believe in himself and do the right thing and take the steps to do that, right?
Right.
So
yeah,
it's definitely a challenge in terms of controlling the chaos, because you can't control his actions.
No.
Which is that's
all I can do is control what I say, how I say it, what I do, how I do it.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say, for me at least, is to take just a deep breath. Like I get frustrated hearing about that kid. It's like, gosh, why can you not see it? Like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Also, just take a deep breath, take it in.
Also, yeah.
Then move on.
Yeah. For sure. Especially like in situations where you are emotional.
Yeah. You don't make an emotional decision.
Yeah.
Or react.
Yeah. And that's like a lot of our training too. Is I don't say training, but like a lot of our teaching is like be able to take a step back, take a breath.
Yeah.
Take an understanding of what's happening. But yeah, along with that, also, I don't want to say like you should give up on this D kid, but sometimes like school just ain't for you, like for them. I don't. And again, like I should always think you should get at least a high school diploma.
Yeah, but it's just.
But after that, like it's your decision. But
I just see it in other areas of his life though.
I just
see that he's just being lazy and doesn't want to do something.
And
thinks he'll get out of it, but
maybe because it's like something that he doesn't care about. And if it's not, but maybe he.
Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do though to get to what you do want to do.
100%.
So
but then it's like showing that light.
No,
and
yeah.
That understanding, because maybe he, I don't know, loves putting puzzles together or loves building businesses.
Yeah.
And so to him, kind of like I want to say Gary Vaynerchuk, like he sucks at school, and he talks about all the time how like school failed him because it wasn't worth his time to be there because they didn't teach him the skills that he needed. And so maybe that's something that this kid is about. Maybe not. Maybe he's just
maybe really the communication would be, hey, what do you like to do? What do you want better? Type of deal. What do you see yourself as in 5 years? Type of deal.
Right.
It's just a process.
Yeah, and just like understanding why. Maybe something else has happened out in his life that he just don't care about school, or maybe he just doesn't. Maybe he's in a depressed state where he can't understand why he's there.
Yeah, maybe. That's a good point for the challenge, because the challenge is like to pick one of those things we talked about, whether it's a plan ABC, whether it's using confidence, whether it's having perspective, whether it's trying to
take a step back, control your emotions.
Yeah, I think I don't want to say the word manipulate somebody's mind, but give them the light, maybe like you said.
I would persuade.
Persuade, taking that deep breath, taking it as a growth moment.
Right. Especially coming from a good place, from an honest place, persuasion is a great thing.
Oh yeah, totally. Like honesty is king. It really is. Like people might not want to hear it, but in the end, they will always thank you.
Yeah,
they will.
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's saving them from false stuff. Like think about cryptocurrency. People say bad thing about cryptocurrency on Twitter, they get big time backlash.
Right.
Whereas they're just being honest, like it is what it is,
Right. And that's what they think is wrong.
Exactly.
They might not think about it in 5, 10 years.
And there's a lot of different research going into like bear versus bull, which we got to talk about after this too, because I think it's really interesting. Possibly a bear market that hadn't hit an all-time high. You think that's possible? Think about that. That's kind of crazy. Interesting. Yeah. Anyways, so I think what I'm going to do for the challenge, since challenge is to do one of those pieces, I think I'm going to work on the communication just with that kid and some other people who maybe struggle. Now it's a lot of extra time and effort, but maybe it'll be worth it. Maybe it'll turn either my perspective around or the kid's perspective, so then I don't have to get that boiling anger inside and be like, why don't you just listen? Like it's gonna help you. And they can't see it. So how can I shift that to make them think, oh, this is important? So really, I'm doing 2 out of those.
Right. See, like that's crazy because I've never had that really feeling. Like
I get all the time.
Only once can I think of in all my time like working with kids and other people have I really like been upset that someone couldn't understand something. But other than that, like I'll just say my piece, say my thought, say my truth. And then if you don't understand, if you can't process or don't want to hear it, then that's on you.
Yeah, see, I'm more like,
and I don't like I'm like I'm not gonna get emotional about it. Like
yeah, I just think of like to the future and just like I always like am big on be the best version of yourself, and I just see like that moment that they're not. Like I don't even need to know them. It's just like if you have a bad attitude or bad effort, like anybody can have better attitude, better effort. No matter who you are, you can always be better at that. So that just frustrates me. But anyways, what do you think you're gonna focus on? You have a certain one, or?
I got things. Because again, I'm so good at staying neutral.
Yeah.
All the time. Like nothing gets me really. And like again, like I told the kids, I was like, you like this one, the one of the kids was, I don't. He's like, I don't like you. I was like, okay. I was like,
maybe put it on yourself then instead of putting it on others. Like I'm gonna do, maybe put it on yourself. So like if you have a bad workout, okay, how can I? This is a growth moment. What can I learn from this type deal? Because my body's like killing me right now. Or like a couple weeks ago, you were like dead tired. Like how can I get more sleep or whatever? Do something that's more beneficial.
That was me last night. Like I was
wondering if you went to bed.
Yeah, like I was trying to like create some content, but I was like foggy brain. Like I could not think straight, and I was like, this is not gonna be good no matter what. So like, what's the point? So it's like I'd rather go to sleep, get 8-9 hours, than stay up another hour or two, essentially wasting time that I wouldn't like to put out, like anything I wouldn't want to put out. So it's just like I just made a decision. Okay, I'm gonna get this. I'm actually just gonna fall asleep, watch a movie for half an hour, and fall asleep, and go back at it. And then today I woke up extremely well.
How'd you get better right there?
You're right.
There it is.
Excited with cause again, podcast day is always my favorite day.
Yeah, great day. Great day to be alive.
But oh shoot, I was about to say something else. Oh, I wasn't. I hate waiting in the weight room. That's one thing. That's one thing that like gets not a lot gets me, but I hate waiting in the weight room. I waited before I even start my workout. I had to wait an hour and 15 minutes in the weight room. I waited a full workout before I even started. That's why I was home so late today.
Yeah, because that's
funny. I was so mad today.
That's funny because the thing I was listening to when you came in, remember Ryan who came on our podcast? He sent me this today about this pastor yesterday at church, what his message was with Advent and coming of Jesus and waiting for that, Talks about the hardest thing to do is wait. That's literally what I was listening to. I thought it was so funny. I added it to be a podcast episode.
Right.
It's so good.
I'm pretty good at patience. I'd say I'm very good at patience.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that like essentially like really like vibrates me in like a wrong way. When I have to like, I don't care about waiting so much in the wait, like, but when it's like a consistent waiting for a long time, and that like I'm just left today because like that point like my pre-workout's done. I'm literally standing there like ready to go, and there's nothing. Like it was so packed at 4:30. It was unbelievably packed today.
So the question is, how can you control it? So technically, there's no chaos going on, right? Because really, it's just you sitting there.
This is my
but it's chaos in your brain. Yeah. How can you deal with that a little better with yourself, or be productive some other way? Okay, screw this workout. I'm doing this today. Type of deal, and figure it out for next time. That is $1 million question, and you can add that on to the 32 days that are left. That's now we're down to 25 days until the end of the year. So you can add that on too, and then you're getting 2% better. Look at that. Right. Boom. Mic drop. Send it.
I was like sitting there. I was like, I thought I was pushing my workout. And then I was like, F it, I'll just leave. I was like, it's not worth it at this point. And then I literally walked in the locker room 3 times, conflicted. I was like, I don't know what to do. Because I'd walk back out and I'd wait, and then like a machine would get like snagged, and then I'd move back over, and then the rack would get snagged from me. I'm like, I'm standing there doing triceps for 40 minutes. I was like, there's only so many like tricep push-ons I could do before like I gotta move on with my life.
So just change it. See if you can do 1,000 push-ups.
Right.
Also, you killed my vibe with my mic drop here.
Sorry.
Just letting you know on that.
I just had to revert back that I was actually in the process of processing that I was upset.
I like it. Process. It's key. Do that in the factory. Supply chain issues. All right. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We're going to end on that. you guys get those double challenge down this week. Taylor's going to get 2% better. Try to beat him. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Appreciate you. Love you. Bye.